The story begins with a shy teenage boy named Michelle getting ready for Halloween. His school is hosting a fancy dress party, and Michelle wants to buy a Spider-Man costume, but he gets late for school. In a hurry, he hides his money inside his shoes and runs off. At school, Michelle secretly records a video of Stella, the girl he has a huge crush on. But suddenly, a teacher catches him and confiscates his phone. A few moments later, Inspector Giovanna enters the classroom and tells everyone that their classmate Martino has been missing for the last 2 days. She asks if anyone has seen him, but the entire class stays silent. Before leaving, Giovanna hands Michelle his lunchbox, revealing that she is his mother, someone Michelle clearly doesn't like at all. Suddenly, Michelle's nose starts bleeding. He hides in the bathroom, but the school bullies Yvonne and Brando drag him out. As usual, they harass him, and Brando steals the money from his shoes. When Michelle asks for it back, Ivan cruelly mocks him about his father. Hurt and angry, Michelle is thrown to the ground, and Ivan humiliates him in front of everyone using a paint gun. The whole class laughs, and a heartbroken Michelle walks back home alone. At home, Michelle opens his computer and checks Stella's Facebook profile, where he finds out she's throwing a Halloween party. Wanting to impress her, Michelle decides to attend, but he has no money and no costume. Using his small savings, he buys a cheap Chinese superhero costume from an old shop. Meanwhile, Inspector Giovanna continues investigating Martino's disappearance. She finds a strange video on Martino's phone where he says he's leaving home. But Giovanna knows Martino was a smart and sensible boy, so this behavior doesn't make sense to her. Back at home, Michelle feels disappointed and embarrassed by his cheap costume. Giovanna tries to comfort him and assures him that everyone will like it. Michelle never tells her that his money was stolen at school or that he is bullied every single day. That night, Michelle goes to the Halloween party, but something terrible happens. In front of everyone, Ivan and Brando play Stella's private video on a big screen. When Stella confronts Ivan, he lies and says the video was found on Michelle's phone, accusing him of secretly stalking her. Michelle is completely shocked and terrified. He can't handle the situation and runs into the bathroom, locking himself inside while people outside try to break the door. Heartbroken and scared, Michelle whispers to himself, "I wish I could disappear so no one could see me and I could live in peace." Later that night, he escapes through the window and goes back home. The next morning, as Michelle gets ready for school and looks into the mirror, he freezes. He can see his clothes, but his body is completely gone. Michelle has become invisible. Panicking, he quickly puts on clothes, a mask, and gloves and leaves for school, trying to hide the truth, even though he's terrified inside. On the way, he loses the courage to face people and decides to go back home. But then he spots Ivan hiding a paint gun in his bag. All the anger inside Michelle explodes, and for the first time, he thinks about revenge. He removes his clothes, turns fully invisible, and sneaks into the classroom. Something strange happens. A blind man standing nearby senses Michelle's presence. Meanwhile, Ivan is listening to music through his earphones. Michelle grabs Ivan's paint gun, fires it, and places it directly in Ivan's hand. The teacher assumes Ivan fired the shot. Furious, Ivan's father drags him out of school in front of everyone. This boosts Michelle's confidence. He now uses his invisible powers against Brando, who is playing in a tennis final. Michelle keeps touching him from behind, confusing and terrifying him. Brando loses his balance, panics, and ends up losing the match. His father scolds him harshly and storms away, but Michelle doesn't stop. He continues to scare Brando until he runs away in fear. After training, some girls head to the showers. At this moment, a very wrong thought crosses Michelle's mind, and he secretly enters the girls' bathroom. Seeing them in small clothes, he loses control. Suddenly, one girl accidentally throws a towel on him, and his invisibility power stops working. When the girls remove the towel, they see Michelle standing there. Terrified, they all start screaming. After this shocking incident, the school immediately calls Inspector Giovanna. Angry and confused, she takes Michelle to the seaside and demands to know why he was naked in the girls' bathroom. Michelle wants to tell her the truth, that he can turn invisible, but he's afraid she'll see him as a monster, so he stays silent. Suddenly, his nose starts bleeding again, and Giovanna gently cleans it, showing her care. At that moment, she gets a call informing her that Brando has also gone missing from his home. Giovanna brings Michelle back to school, where a police psychologist named Giorgio talks to the students. He explains that at this age, kids often feel lonely, misunderstood, and disconnected from their parents. They start questioning everything and believe running away from home is the solution, but in reality, it only leads to regret. As Michelle listens, his hand slowly starts turning invisible again. Panic hits him. If he disappears in front of everyone, his secret will be exposed. He hides his hand, lowers his head, and stays quiet. Giorgio walks toward him, but just then, the school bell rings, and Michelle runs straight home. At home, Michelle's younger sister Candela is reading comics. He asks her to leave the room. She closes the door but doesn't actually go away. Thinking he's alone, Michelle removes his mask. but he's still invisible. Candela can't see him and starts screaming in fear. Michelle quickly covers her mouth, calms her down, and for the first time, tells someone the full truth. They both believe that the cheap Chinese superhero costume is the reason behind his powers. Candela gets excited and says, "You have superpowers. That means you're a superhero. From today, your name is the Invisible Boy." She believes Michelle can use these powers to help people, but Michelle doesn't see himself as a hero. He sees himself as a boy who has already given up. Michelle sits quietly in his room, reading comics. Soon, Giovanna enters the room, and the moment Michelle sees her, he turns invisible again. At the same time, Giovanna receives a call from her mother. In a worried voice, she says Michelle has been acting strange lately and disappearing without telling anyone. Then she reveals her fear, that maybe Michelle has found out the truth, that Giovanna is not his real mother, and that he was adopted. Michelle hears everything. The truth shakes him to his core. Already broken by school bullying, Michelle is now completely shattered inside. To calm his mind, Michelle goes to the seaside and sits on a swing. Suddenly, Stella walks by and notices that one swing is moving on its own. Instead of getting scared, she sits on the swing next to it. Michelle draws a smiley face in the sand, and soon, both of them start swinging together. Softly, Stella says she doesn't have many friends and asks if Michelle would like to be her friend. She admits her mother warns her not to talk to strangers, but still, she wants to talk to him. Michelle agrees. After Stella leaves, the same blind man watches Michelle from a distance. At first, Michelle feels suspicious, but after seeing the man's stick, he realizes the man is truly blind. Later, Michelle apologizes to Stella for what happened in the girls' bathroom. That night, Michelle visits Stella at her house. The two grow closer and sit wrapped in a blanket together. They share a kiss, but suddenly Michelle's hands start becoming visible. Panicking, he grabs the blanket and runs away. Candela already knows Michelle likes Stella. She keeps telling him that he should tell Stella the truth. Maybe she'll like him for who he really is. After thinking a lot, Michelle finally agrees. He takes Mario with him and goes to meet Stella. At that moment, Stella is practicing gymnastics. Suddenly, a dart hits her, and she collapses unconscious. A man quickly grabs her and tries to escape. Michelle and Mario attempt to stop him, but the man easily throws them aside, stuffs Stella into a van, and drives away. A terrified Michelle immediately calls Giovanna and the police. The police begin searching for Stella, while Giovanna takes Michelle back home. That night, Michelle can't sleep at all. Stella's kidnapping keeps replaying in his mind. He tries to turn invisible again and wants to wear his superhero costume, but he discovers that Giovanna washed it. The costume has shrunk and no longer fits him. Jokingly, he makes Candela try it on, but nothing happens. She doesn't turn invisible. This makes Michelle furious. He yells at Giovanna, accusing her of ruining his costume. In anger, he blurts out that she's not even his real mother, so she doesn't care about his things. After saying this, Michelle storms out of the house and heads back to the seaside. Meanwhile, Stella is taken to a hidden facility where doctors run several tests on her. Soon, they realize she's not the kind of person they're looking for, so they lock her inside a room. There, Stella meets Martino and Brando. That's when the truth comes out. They didn't run away from home. They were kidnapped too. Seeing each other alive fills them with relief, and the three emotional friends hug each other tightly. Back at the seaside, Michelle sits alone, trying to control his emotions. Suddenly, the same blind man approaches him. He tells Michelle that the costume has nothing to do with his powers. The costume neither gave him his abilities nor took them away. He also makes it clear that he didn't kidnap Michelle's friends. Shocked, Michelle asks who he really is and how he knows what Michelle is thinking. The man introduces himself as Andre and reveals the truth. He is Michelle's real father. Andre explains that Giovanna lied when she said Michelle's father was a police officer who died in the line of duty. In reality, Andre was born in Russia. He once lived a normal, happy life until a nuclear accident changed everything. The radiation killed many people, but some survived with altered DNA and developed special powers. The Russian military captured these people and imprisoned them in Siberia, calling them specials. They were experimented on like animals, trying to turn their abilities into weapons. Andre was the most valuable among them because he could read people's minds. Over time, using these powers made all the specials seriously ill. Andre slowly lost his eyesight. The biggest tragedy was that most specials couldn't have children, but Andre and Michelle's mother, Yelena, were different. They could. They fell in love, and Michelle was born. They were happy, but they knew the military would never let their child live freely. They didn't want Michelle to suffer the same cruel experiments. Andre continues, explaining how one night he and Yelena escaped the secret base with their baby. Soldiers chased them. To save her son, Yelena used her power. She could turn invisible too. She held the soldiers back so Andre could escape with Michelle. But one clever soldier figured out her secret and shot her. Yelena died there that night. Andrei spent years running across Europe with Michelle, knowing the soldiers were still searching for them. He wanted his son to have a better life. Using his mind-reading ability, Andrei looked into Giovanna's thoughts and learned that she desperately wanted a child and was a kind-hearted woman who would protect Michelle. That's why Andrei left Michelle outside Giovanna's house, giving him a chance at a safe and normal life. Michelle slowly asks if Andrei can read everyone's mind. Andrei explains that he can't. He can only read the thoughts of people who are close to him, like the man fishing nearby. Andrei adds that the fisherman believes Michelle is a kidnapper and is about to call the police. Then Andrei clears Michelle's misunderstanding. The costume never gave him his powers. Michelle is growing up, and his abilities are awakening naturally. With time, he will learn to control them. He must stop believing that the costume is the source of everything. Saying this, Andrei uses his power to erase the fisherman's memories, stopping him from calling the police. Suddenly, Michelle starts sneezing as the cold air grows stronger. Andrei warns him that wandering around without clothes in such cold weather is dangerous. Michelle's mother had the same problem, which is why the military created a special suit for her. In the same way, Yelena made a special suit for Michelle when he was a child. The suit works together with his body and keeps him invisible. Andrei explains that the symbol on it means S in Russian, special. It's his mother's gift, and he must always wear it under his clothes. Andrei then gives a serious warning. The enemies now know Michelle is here, so he must leave this place. Andrei tells him that their minds are connected and that he can find Michelle anytime. Just then, police sirens echo in the distance, and Andrei suddenly disappears. The police question the fisherman, but he remembers nothing. Giovanna tries to talk to Michelle, but he stays silent. Later, Giovanna takes Mario to the doctor, while Giorgio drops Michelle home. After some time, Michelle is sitting at home, drinking tea with Giorgio. Suddenly, Michelle notices bandages wrapped around Giorgio's hand. Michelle freezes. He remembers that Mario bit the hand of the man who kidnapped Stella. In that moment, everything becomes clear. Giorgio is the kidnapper. Michelle tries to escape, but all the doors and windows are locked. He runs into another room, locks himself inside, and tries calling Giovanna. That's when Giorgio shouts from outside, warning him that if he calls anyone, his friends won't stay alive. He calmly orders Michelle to open the door. Giorgio starts forcing the door open, but just in time, Michelle removes his clothes and turns invisible. He attacks Giorgio with a knife, but Giorgio easily dodges it. Thinking fast, Giorgio spreads flour across the floor. The powder sticks to Michelle's feet, revealing his footsteps. Michelle tries to escape through the window, but Giorgio follows the footprints, grabs him, and throws him violently back into the room. The impact makes Michelle visible again. Giorgio tells him that he's learning to control his powers well, but he was never meant to live among normal people. If the world finds out about him, they'll call him a monster. Giorgio insists that Michelle should come with him, saying that's where he truly belongs. Gathering all his courage, Michelle kicks Giorgio, throws a bed on top of him, knocks him down, and uses the moment to turn invisible again and escape. Outside, Michelle crashes into Ivan and jumps onto his scooter. Since Michelle is invisible, Ivan has no idea what's happening and panics, waving his hands in fear. Suddenly, Michelle starts becoming visible again, and Ivan is terrified. Meanwhile, Giovanna returns home with Mario and is horrified by the condition of the house. At the same time, Andrei arrives there as well. Michelle tells Ivan the whole truth. Giorgio isn't a psychologist at all. He's a Russian spy who kidnapped Stella, Martino, and Brando, and now they must save them. Hearing this, Ivan admits he always suspected something was wrong. He says he was sent to Giorgio for an attention disorder, but deep down, he knew Giorgio was fake. Saying this, Ivan pulls out his paint gun, ready to fight. Meanwhile, Stella, Martino, and Brando try to understand why they were kidnapped. Stella suddenly connects the dots. Martino is brilliant at math, Brando is exceptional at tennis, and she herself is skilled in gymnastics. The kidnappers kept questioning their special abilities, which means they are searching for talented children. Soon, Stella spots a chance to escape. Using Martino and Brando for support, she climbs up and manages to break out. Once outside, she realizes they are being held inside a ship. While moving through another section, Stella briefly notices an old man in a wheelchair, but at that moment, she ignores him. Dodging guards and using her gymnastics skills, Stella reaches a high tower where a powerful searchlight is installed. She draws a smiley face on it and turns the light toward the sky. From far away, Michelle sees the signal and instantly understands. It's Stella. He rushes toward the ship with Ivan, but the guards spot Stella and lock her back in the room. Just then, Ivan fires his paint gun at the ship's electric control panel. A massive short circuit occurs. Alarms start blaring across the ship, and chaos breaks out. The guards panic and run in all directions. Taking advantage of the confusion, Michel turns invisible and sneaks inside the ship. Inside, Giorgio is already present. He had secretly planted a camera in Giovanna's car and was monitoring everything. In the same car is Andre, who has already told Giovanna the truth about Michel's superpowers. Michel holds a gun to a guard's head and forces him to release Stella, Martino, and Brando. After locking the guards in a room, Michel removes his mask. Everyone is shocked to see him. That's when Stella reveals that an old man is also being held captive, and he needs to be saved too. Michel safely sends Martino and Brando outside, then stays behind with Stella to rescue the old man. Stella leads Michel into a dark room. Suddenly, the door slams shut and Stella points a gun at him. Shocked, Michel asks why she's doing this. At that moment, the old man in the wheelchair touches Stella, and she instantly collapses unconscious. The old man reveals his name, Voland. He explains that his power is controlling people's minds. He used Stella to lure Michel here and had even been controlling Giorgio the entire time, all to gain access to Michel's mind. Forced out of hiding, Michel becomes visible. Voland orders his senior guard to detach the submarine from the ship. Elsewhere, Giovanna and Andre move forward, desperately searching for Michel. On the way, they run into Ivan. Andre reads Ivan's mind and realizes he already knows the truth. Ivan leads them to the ship, but by then, the submarine has already separated. Suddenly, the ship goes into lockdown mode, and a countdown timer appears on the screens. When the timer hits 0, the entire ship will explode. Everyone believes Michel isn't on board anymore, but Martino and Brando are still trapped inside. Without hesitation, Giovanna fires at the gate and frees them. Then, she rushes back inside to search for Michel. There, she encounters Giorgio, but he knows nothing about Michel's whereabouts. Andre reads his mind and confirms he's telling the truth. As the situation spirals out of control, Andre forcibly pulls Giovanna out. Moments later, a massive explosion tears the ship apart. Inside the submarine, Voland tells Michel that they're finally going home and that he's going to meet his mother again. Furious, Michel shouts that his mother died years ago and that he won't fall for Voland lies. Voland calmly replies that she didn't die. She was only injured and has been waiting for him all these years. Voland claims that the specials now control the world. He orders Stella to be placed inside a rescue capsule while Michel watches helplessly. Voland tells Michel that he is special and shouldn't care about normal people. According to him, ordinary humans live only to eat, dress, and survive. But Michel was born to change the world. From now on, Voland says, this is his real family. Hearing all this, Michel completely loses control, and a new power awakens inside him. Telekinesis, the ability to move objects without touching them. Everything around him starts breaking apart. The guards try to stop him, but Michel throws them away like toys. Cracks appear in the submarine, and water begins flooding in rapidly. At the last moment, Michel jumps into the escape capsule with Stella and presses the button. The capsule shoots upward, breaks through the water's surface, and lands safely on the shore. In front of everyone, Michel turns invisible, openly revealing his powers for the first time. But because he's wearing a mask, no one knows who he really is. Andre says everyone's memories must be erased. If people remember that Michel is special, his life will always be in danger. Andre promises that whenever Michel needs him, he'll always be nearby. Using his powers, Andre wipes everyone's memories, and no one remembers the truth of what happened. The only thing people remember is that Giovanna saved the children's lives. Overnight, Giovanna becomes a hero. News channels praise her bravery, and people celebrate her courage. Michel also praises her from the heart, and seeing this, Giovanna smiles with pride and happiness. Sometime later, Michel goes to school. Today, he has finally decided to confess his feelings to Stella. But Ivan and Brando once again come to bully him. This time, Michel doesn't panic. Calmly, he says, "Ivan, I know you have a condition, but there's no need to be afraid. You'll be okay. And Brando, you're angry with your father, so you take it out on me. If you talk to him, things can change." Ivan and Brando are stunned. For the first time, they say nothing and walk away. Michel is now completely confident. Meanwhile, a shocking truth is revealed. Michel's real mother, Yelena, is still alive. A soldier reports, "The mission failed. We couldn't bring back Special Michel." Enraged, Yelena attacks the soldier. Terrified, he quickly adds, "But don't worry. Even though Michel escaped, we found another special. Her name is Natasha, and she's hiding in Morocco." A dangerous smile appears on Yelena's face. Then comes one final secret. When Andre escaped the secret base with baby Michel, his own daughter Natasha was hidden in the same bag. A truth he never told Michel. Some kids want to disappear, but the bravest ones learn to believe in themselves and stand strong. So, what did you think about this movie? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories. See you in the next video.